The Baba Yaga was with child, and the aliens sealed their fate. The war was supposed to end with their surrender. The Jatar, an insectoid species spanning countless star systems, had crushed dozens of civilizations before. When humanity fought back, it amused them. When humanity endured, it fascinated them. And when humanity finally fell, it emboldened them. But they had made one mistake. They took her child. They did not know who she was at first. To them, she was just another grieving human, another casualty in their conquest of Terra. The transmission had been simple: a human woman kneeling in the ruins of a city, a smoking battlefield stretching behind her. In her arms, she cradled the broken body of a child. The Jatar did not recognize the symbol they had just created. They did not know the name she had once borne in whispered legends across the stars. They did not know that the Baba Yaga was with child. When they realized, it was too late. The Jatar fleet was vast. It moved in formation like a cosmic storm, eclipsing planets as it passed. But when the retaliation came, it was not from an armada. It was not from soldiers. It was from her. They heard her name on the winds of dead planets. They saw the aftermath of her fury in shattered command centers, in generals executed with their own weapons. She did not simply wage war, she ended it with surgical precision. Where she walked, empires crumbled. When she struck, civilizations burned. The First World fell in a single night. The orbital defenses had been impenetrable, yet something had slipped through. By dawn, the planetary governor was found impaled upon the spire of his own palace, his exoskeleton cracked, his many eyes frozen in horror. The Second World resisted. It lasted 2 days before their leadership collapsed, their supply chains severed, their warriors refusing to fight. They had seen what had happened to their predecessors. They knew their fate was sealed. The Jatar sought to negotiate. They sent diplomats. She sent them back in pieces. On the Third World, the Jatar High Queen herself appeared, flanked by her royal guards, her carapace gleaming under artificial sunlight. "What do you want?" she demanded, her voice a chittering chorus. The Baba Yaga stood before her, silent. Her armor was blackened with the blood of 100 battles, her eyes hollow pits of vengeance. And then she spoke, her voice like the quiet death of stars. "You took my child." The High Queen hesitated. You sealed your fate." The war did not last much longer. By the time humanity's forces arrived, there was nothing left but ruin. Planets had been gutted, fleets reduced to drifting wreckage. The Jatar homeworld was unrecognizable, a tomb of its own making. And in the heart of it stood the Baba Yaga, her vengeance complete. As she turned from the wreckage, the message was clear. Some wars are won with armies. Some with fleets. But some battles, the deadliest battles, are waged by a single grieving mother. And the universe would never forget. The alien warlord, High Executor Versh, stood on the bridge of his dreadnought, staring at the holographic display of the smoldering human colony. Smoke curled into the sky, and the last screams had faded into the silence of the void. "A clean sweep," his second-in-command reported. The resistance was minimal. One escape pod managed to flee before the bombardment was complete. A single human female and her offspring. Versh scoffed. "Insignificant. The brood will die in the void. Set course for the next target." But the fate he had dismissed so easily would soon return to haunt him. 20 years later, a name whispered in the dark. A legend among soldiers. A nightmare among Versh's people. The Baba Yaga. She struck without warning. Fleets disappeared into the abyss. Outposts fell silent overnight. She moved like a wraith through the stars, and wherever she walked, vengeance followed. No alien general had survived an encounter. No warlord had bested her in combat. She never took prisoners. The High Executor, now Supreme Commander of the Dominion, watched his empire crumble under her relentless campaign. He had dismissed her once, but now he saw the truth. She had survived. She had raised her child in the depths of war, forged in fire, sharpened into a blade meant for retribution. And now that blade was at his throat. The final confrontation. Versha's fortress world burned. His last remaining fleet lay in ruins, his generals executed. The Baba Yaga did not bother with negotiations. The doors to his throne room burst open, and she walked in. Not a specter, but a warrior draped in blood and ash, eyes burning with the fury of a mother's vengeance. Beside her stood a figure clad in black armor, the child who had once fled in an escape pod, now a general of war, the harbinger of his doom. Varish, the Baba Yaga whispered, her voice colder than the void. You killed my family. You left me with nothing. But you made a mistake. She stepped forward, blade in hand, her child mirroring her movements. You forgot that I was with child. And now, we have come to seal your fate. The Supreme Commander did not scream as the lights dimmed. The legend had come to claim its final victim. And the stars bore witness to the end of an empire. The alien warlords of the Galactic Dominion prided themselves on their intelligence, their cruelty, and their complete domination of the lesser species. To them, humanity was just another insignificant race, struggling against the chains of subjugation. Their mistake was in thinking humans were weak. Their greatest folly was in believing they could break a mother. The attack on the human colony of Halcyon Prime was meant to be a message, a show of force to remind the fragile species of their place in the universe. The Dominion's soldiers slaughtered thousands. They burned the cities, enslaved the survivors, and, in their arrogance, executed a pregnant woman before the eyes of a broken people. They laughed as she fell, her unborn child doomed to die before it ever took its first breath. But this was no ordinary woman. This was the Baba Yaga. Legends whispered her name in hushed, fearful tones. She had been a ghost in the Dominion's records, a myth they never believed in, an assassin, a warrior, a force of nature cloaked in shadows. They had searched for her across the stars, and now, thinking her dead, they congratulated themselves on their victory. The Dominion should have known better. The Baba Yaga never truly died. 3 days after her execution, the first Dominion ships began disappearing from the sector. A battleship's wreckage was found orbiting a dead moon, its crew slaughtered with surgical precision. The governors who had ordered the massacre on Halcyon Prime were found hanging from their own banners, their throats slit. The Dominion's forces scrambled, trying to track down the unseen terror carving through their ranks. Then the whispers began. Reports from surviving Dominion soldiers spoke of a phantom in the dark, a vengeful spirit with eyes that burned like dying stars. She moved through their fortresses like a wraith, her knives flashing in the dim glow of emergency lights, her presence a whisper of death. Those who survived called her the Revenant. The humans, though, knew better. They knew the Baba Yaga had risen. She was not alone. Her child, her unborn child, thought lost, lived on. Technology beyond human understanding, buried in the depths of forgotten worlds, had ensured that the child was no longer merely human, it was something more, something crafted by the wrath of its mother and the vengeance of an entire species. The child's existence burned like a beacon in the cold abyss, calling forth warriors from the deepest corners of the void. Humanity rallied. No longer content to cower beneath the Dominion's boot, they rose as one. Soldiers, assassins, rebels, and ghosts of forgotten wars emerged from hiding, carrying weapons etched with the names of the fallen. The Baba Yaga led them, her vengeance unrelenting, her fury an inferno that consumed entire fleets. The Galactic Dominion had sealed their fate the moment they spilled her blood. By the time they realized their mistake, it was too late. The war that followed was not one of conquest, nor was it one of survival. It was annihilation. The Dominion's great fleets burned in the void, their home worlds turned to dust and echoes. The last of their rulers, the architects of the massacre, met their end kneeling before the Baba Yaga, begging for mercy she did not possess. And so the Dominion fell, not to an army, not to a fleet, but to the wrath of a mother who would not let death claim her child. And in the silent remnants of their once mighty empire, the legend of the Baba Yaga endured, an eternal reminder that some lines should never be crossed, and that even the most powerful should fear a mother's vengeance.